Hey YouTube, I'm gonna show you a little bit about the mini bike I had whooped up from a semi piece of hollow shell junk from something that I kind of took a little bit of some pride in, from American made slash Japanese, Asian, whatever heck material, from internet parts here and there, and decided to put it together for the sheer heck of it and show you a little bit of some of the custom things I did to it. And some of the people from other YouTube videos and some other ideas of myself that I decided to amplify and add that other people may have not done, as far as certain things. You can kind of see the seat right here is a little bit torn. However, the seat I had underneath, I had re-upholstered and stapled. I had cut out a piece of board all the way around from the original old foam that the seat had sat upon, because this in particular mini bike was made, I believe, all the way back from 1960s or 70s or something like that, so it's a pretty old bike. However, this model came with what's called a flat pancake, 5 horsepower, and most people will want to try and put on a 3, and I'm the type of person that likes manpower on a bike, and right now it has a 6 horsepower. The muffler on this in particular one was bent a little bit too much this way, and most people will want to cut off the frame, and I just didn't like that idea, so I took the muffler here and gave a little bit of a couple of whacks that way. It didn't really hurt it, didn't crack it that I know of, and it made a nice little swing that way. It hasn't caused any burning above the wood that I've seen up here. It's done nicely for me. It makes it so you don't have to modify the frame in any way, and it still makes a nice American, out of my opinion, grade, because I'm just the way I am. I'm still trying to work on this in particular floppy gas tank line, but as you can see, the fuel line flows down onto the opposite side, and over here, as I go jerking the camera around, I'm sorry about this, onto the other side, onto the on-off flow valve right here, and down into the carburetor, which is, out of my opinion, a nice setup with a flow. Now this that didn't turn out too well as far as the turn off, but it does have a shut off for the engine right here. It took me a while to set up with someone else's help, in particular, because I don't claim to be 100% professional right now, but I am working on it for a setup for a class to help me become a professional, more so mechanic right now, one step at a time, as they always say, for making it so that this in particular machine I had it a little bit torqued too much, and it kind of gave me a whiplash on the back side. Some other things about this mini bike, one last thing, and then the bike brake line, I had what was called the foot pedal down below. I just didn't like that in particular type. It bugged me a lot, and usually most people would leave it alone, and others would have what's called a engine brake clutch for squeezing up here, and others would leave their foot pedal for the tire, and I just didn't like it because it wore out the tire a lot faster, and it would just bugged me like a lot. So what I had done is get the back brake drum, and this I had to do a lot of thinking, creative thinking, going down to the back and how to get this in particular setup, because when I had this in particularly set up in place, it made it so that this thing would just twirl around, so I had to get a clamp, or use the old in particular clamps that were on this setup, and then put a bolt on here, which then I grinded almost completely flat, pinched this, and made it so that this wouldn't move, and then hold this in particular drum brake pretty much in place. That made it so this would pinch this in one in particular spot, making it so it would not budge at all, which actually turned out quite nice. This also in particular engine, one last, I keep on saying as well, other thing was that if this was not lined up properly, the chain kept on flopping off, and also over here I had to drill a hole straight through the bolt and nut, and then put a cock pin in between it to make it so that it wouldn't come flying straight off. It just almost every time kept on doing that, which was really irritating. Other than that, I hope some of these other ideas will become useful to those that want to maybe set up their own mini bike, and become inspirational that, hey, you know, if you set your mind to it, anything's possible. Even if it's an old clunky mini bike that you can fix up, spruce, and turn it into something really nice. Even if it is a poor man's way from start to finish. Take a little time, take a little patience, even if it's somewhat still scratched, scraped, and having a little fun, and things kind of turn out a little bit fun. It did get banged up and scratched from whipping me back on my butt, but it was still loads of fun. Take care, YouTube.